Thanks for watching my 2021 studio tour. I always like to know what the YouTubers that I watch do for their video recording, so I thought that you might like to see what I do. Now, if you're not familiar with my channel, here's a little bit of video that comes out of the studio that I'm about to talk about just so you can get a general clue. I do news commentary videos, so I usually have this kind of chest up shot. I'm usually mostly centered within the frame, and I'm probably about 6 feet away from my background. So I light myself with 2 softboxes. I use a Sony mirrorless camera, and I have a lot of lights on the background. And I'll dig into all these things, but early on in the video, I just want to touch upon this theme. You don't need the fanciest gear, you don't need the best stuff. I've worked for a couple of years to acquire all these various pieces of gear. Some of them are like my old camera, some of them are my old laptop, and some of them are things that I've gotten more recently. That being said, none of this stuff is cutting edge and new, but it all works. So let's go through it piece by piece and talk about what I use. Let's start with the lighting. I use 2 old school CFL softboxes and 1 CFL umbrella. Now, before LED panels were a thing, if you wanted to use cheap video lights, you would have to pick up some CFL softboxes. And basically these are 4 sockets with a double panel softbox, double diffusion softbox. On the left side, I keep a cool bulb, and on the right side, I keep warm bulbs. And these balance out so that since I sit in front of a window, I have the ability to manipulate the color temperature that's hitting my face to look most attractive given whatever the sunlight conditions are outside. And I have the same setup running inside of this second softbox here. Both of these can be had on the real cheap on Amazon. Above me, I have boomed up using a cheap boom light stand, a CFL, wrapped in aluminum foil to shape the light and keep it from going all over the room. That shoots through an umbrella, and that just lights my shoulders, it lights my hair. And it's the thing that kind of separates me from the background. If you don't have that, you blend a little bit too much into the background. Now, speaking of the background, I light the background with that cheap LED panel you just saw. I also use this old school red fluorescent tube in the background. And I used to use a red gel on that LED panel, but it actually burned through the gel. And that was included with the product. It was just a bad product. I like to have color in the background, but I don't like RGB LED oversaturation, which is why I use this IKEA floor lamp that I put a yellow film gel in front of. And that gives me a pop of color on that background. However, it doesn't look artificial like so many YouTubers who use RGB right now. And then last but not least, I am running a spotlight onto my South Carolina flag. It's just a cheap desk lamp from IKEA. And then this is my ceiling light fixture, which was already in the room when I moved in, that I've put some green gels over just to provide a little bit more color, once again, while staying away from that oversaturation that I feel that most YouTubers are leaning into right now. Now for the camera, this is kind of the heart of the whole operation. This is a Sony A6300. It's capable of shooting high frame rate 1080p and 4K. However, I use the Sony imaging webcam app, which only lets you put in a little bit less than 720. And this runs into OBS. OBS is a free recording software. It works really well. And it syncs up my microphone through this Focusrite input box. You can see this is an AKG microphone with the video coming out of the camera. I would like to eventually move to an input that allows me to use the full 4K potential of this camera. However, I am not right now. And I'm also using a cheap kit lens, which doubtlessly looks a lot worse than a more expensive lens. However, it costs about $100, so the price is right. Now, this is an Apple keyboard. I looked around a lot for different keyboards and ended up settling on this one. I like that it's quiet. I like that the Apple keyboard integrates well, obviously, with Apple products. And on the mouse, I was using the MX Master. Now, you're seeing the footage that comes out of all this. It's not the most beautiful footage, but allows me to get my story across, which is the ultimate goal of any filmmaking. My story happens to be news. However, I'm here to encourage you to use whatever gear you have on hand, whether you've been able to amass some of the gear that I have, or whether you have more or less to tell your story. You can do it. You can do it well, regardless of your budget. You just have to think about how to work within your constraints. And that's what I spend a lot of time doing here. Thanks for checking out this video. I'd like to make one in a year or so when hopefully I've been able to upgrade my setup a little bit more, or have maybe just gotten more creative with working with the gear that I currently have. Thanks for watching my videos. Have a good day.